Great. Good morning, everyone. Today's Tuesday, October 11th. This is the Jupyter dev meeting. I just have a couple brief announcements today. Actually, just one. We're ramping up for the fall dev meeting, otherwise known as the fall project meeting. Thank you, Thomas, for disambiguating that. And you'll be seeing some messages from us looking for just feedback on roadmap stuff, team questions, that type of thing. Also, we're working on the Jupyter annual report. So I've dropped a link in the HackPad where folks can please enter the talks that you've given in 2016. Part of our report is to list all the work that we've shared with our community. And so this document will help provide that information to our funders. So great. Without further ado, let's go to Min. Min, what do you have going on these days?
Mainly trying to ship the release of Jupyter Hub, which is pretty much solid. I'm just going through our reference deployments and things and updating them to the current versions of stuff and making sure they still, that it doesn't break anything, and kind of using that as test cases, and working with Carol on updating all the docs and making sure everything's still accurate and covering the transition stuff. That's my main thing. And then I've also been running around various projects of protocols and formats and things, covering some updates to author metadata and adding the ability for display data messages to be updated in place, and some fixes needed to the notebook format for proper JSON output, so people who are interested in those things can hop on the issues I've linked. But that's it for me.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Min. Let's see here. I think Carol was next. Where's my HackPad?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Pretty much what Min said, working on docs for 0.7 Jupyter Hub, also doing a user test of the installation instructions for the Jupyter Hub deployment for teaching, and going to rework some of those documents. And Docker Spawner, we've done some updates on docs that we're working through, and other than that, pretty much just triaging and getting ready for Grace Hopper next week. Thanks.
Woo!
Yay.
Yay. Thanks, Carol. Dan, you're next on the list.
Hi. So I'm the disembodied voice this week.
Embodied voice of
I
Dan.
was working. I was working with Brian and Jason in person last week to get this Jupyter Lab extension that adds navigation links to the Jupyter Hub ready for prime time. And I have a working prototype. I should be able to push that up there tomorrow. There are two changes, one to the hub and one to the lab, that have to be made to pass the configuration about what the hub prefix and the hub host are from the hub configuration into the lab UI. And so I'd appreciate some general feedback on whether this is a sane way to do that. I think it's going to end up being a two-stage process where we have to, unfortunately, make Jupyter Lab aware of Jupyter Hub and put some specific fields in there for now. And then once we're ready to release a new version of the notebook server and require that version, we can do this a different way, where we don't need to have a hard-coded hub information in Jupyter Lab. So I'll let people take a closer look at that offline, but I wanted to draw some general attention to it.
Great. Thanks, Dan. All right, Gino, you're next on the list.
Hey guys, yeah, I actually want to apologize. I haven't been in the meeting in quite a couple of weeks. I have a meeting at work that now conflicts with this meeting, so I have to like throw the coin up in the air and see which meeting I attend. But
can I just say, this is the first time I've ever seen your face. I think the 6 or 7 months that I've been on the project. So hey, nice to put a
Hey.
face.
Let's see. I wanted to say that a few weeks back, I put on the Hackpack, we released 0.7 of declarative widgets. And really the most notable part of that release was that we added this function called explore, which I think folks might find. I've talked about it in the past. You basically pass a data frame of any type to this explore function, and it puts out this rich UI that allows you to do queries and visualizations on a data frame. So I want people to go check that out and give us feedback. It's our first iteration of this support, and I think it has a lot of room for improvement, but it's a good first step at basically a single line of code that generates a lot of usable interface to querying and visualizing your data. So go check that out. Actually, recently my focus has shifted a little bit away from the Jupyter project proper projects that we have in Jupyter to a related project that we have in Apache called Tori, which is a kernel for Jupyter that does it basically allows you to use Scala as a language. And so recently, one of our dependencies, GeroMQ, was relicensed to MPL. It used to be an LGPL license, and that actually put restrictions for us within Apache of how many releases or what we can release as an incubator, because the LGPL is not a compatible license with Apache. But we worked with the GeroMQ guys to make some code changes and do some work so that they can relicense to MPL, and that got finalized, and they have a new release out. And so now we're working on making all the changes on Tori so that we can put a proper release that's not a development preview or anything, just a real incubator release of Tori with the right licenses. And so we're doing that. At the same time, we're trying to get a Spark 2.0 version of Tori out also as well. So there's a lot of activity now on that project because of the work that happened in GeroMQ. And that's pretty much it. I think you're on mute. I can't hear you. Sorry.
Multitasking between windows. Hey, is it clear to folks where to go to provide feedback? Is there a link that you can provide in the Hackpad?
I'll put a link in the Hackpad. It basically, there's two. There either on the declarative widgets project, or there's a sibling project called Declarative Widgets Explorer, which is the widget, the rich widget for exploration. They can also give feedback there, but I'll put both links on the Hackpad so people know where to go.
Great, thanks. All right, who's next? We've got Mike is speaking no evil today. Peter, are you on the call? Nope, can't dial in. Darian. Darian?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm working on some inconsistencies we have with the focus tracker in Jupyter Lab. Some of the more esoteric seeming bugs that we have are actually, I think, all stemming from this, where basically different kinds of entities that you can launch, like consoles, notebooks, terminals, whatever, they all have their own focus tracker that doesn't, and they don't use the system-wide focus tracker. So there are cases where the application-wide focus tracker knows that you're now in this new tab doing this thing, but the notebook-specific one doesn't actually know. So you might get weird behaviors when you run commands because it's referring to an old notebook or something like that. There's some subtle bugs basically that occasionally arise, and I think this will get to the bottom of that. So that's what I'm working on. I posted an issue and I added the needs discussion label to it, and it's in Jupyter Lab and it's linked on the Hackpad. It's about how we handle sessions, and I think we're heading toward a consensus on what ought to be done. But if there's actual there might be some finer points that need to be hashed out. So if you're curious about basically what tells a session to go away, who should kill a session, and how long they ought to last and things like that, you might want to chime in. And if you're not, you don't have to. Yeah, that's it for me.
Great, thanks a lot. So it looks like the rest of the folks on the HackPad don't have anything they want to share. I just pasted the HackPad link into the chat window, so those of you who arrived a little bit later can easily access it. I noticed, let's see, Sylvan, I think you arrived a little bit after we started. Do you have anything you want to share with the group today?
Sorry, I was late. I had another meeting. No, nothing much to report.
Okay. Okay. Anyone else have something they want to share?
Oh, actually, yeah. Just heads up that warehouse, the merge finally happened. So now we have the data requires Python info being held in that database appropriately. And so now it's just we're waiting on PyPI legacy, and then we will be able to have a nice, safe release where, like, we can have people upgrade to Python. If they have Python 3, then they can upgrade, and if they don't have Python 3, then they are not forced to, and it doesn't break their build.
Kling Binder.
It was with Matthias.
Okay. Okay. Okay? Thanks, Mike. And Sylvan just posted something in the chat window. I don't know if he wants to comment on it or just snicker quietly.
Yeah, I put together a Conda package for Kling and made a binder for it. So now you can just click on it and write C++. So yeah, check it out.
Okay. Okay, great. Nick? Nothing. Hi, Nick. All right, so I'm going to wrap it up. I have a couple housekeeping things after the call, so if you guys could just stay on for a couple minutes, that'd be great. Otherwise, thanks, Internet. We'll see you next week. Bye.